It's Walt, Big Walt, Little Heather's on the backside. She had an idea of doing a season in review style video, so pretty much our 2022 season review, starting kind of chronologically, and we'll skip over some stuff. But she wanted to, give out what the highs, the lows, the frustrations, some of the problems we, dealt with. So we're going to go through that. I think she's going to throw a bunch of highlights in and recap that, probably some cool video stuff. So you guys watching will see some cool highlights. So I guess, starting out, we busted butt even last year in 2021 to get ready to go to Florida, because that was something we'd never done, was race in Florida. And especially with the Short Track Super Series, you're going to be on your A game. So
first we started out working like crazy.
Yeah, we almost didn't even get motors.
Yeah, getting everything back. GM was having a problem with crate motors blowing up, and ours were 3 years old. The motors we were racing previously they had 3 seasons on them. So we waited and waited and waited because we didn't want one to just blow up on us. They were having some issues with the line bores and stuff like that. And the last thing we wanted to do was go that far and pop a motor. So we waited till the last minute. Finally felt like, okay, those are, we did some research too. Said, okay, those should be cycled out, we hope. Will Hull got the new ones for us, dynoed them. They ran great on the dyno. Oil pressures were good, everything was good. So and they ran great all season. So we got lucky. Then we headed the snowstorm before.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that. We actually left 3 days early because there was a snowstorm coming. So we actually raced the snowstorm until we got to Virginia. It was actually starting to get pretty nasty. So Dad and I took a 2-day vacation, if you call it that. But we drove to Florida in pretty much 2 days, about 24 hours. So just the two of us. And actually got to go to Alltech and watch the Lucas Oil late models. So that was really cool. It was kind of a bonus.
Yeah, it's never a bummer to have to go to the racetrack, right?
No, it's always cool to be able to go to the racetrack and actually see grass.
Yeah,
So we went to Alltech. That we learned a lot. The surfaces are really different down there compared to what we race up here. Especially at Alltech. I mean, it's one corner is slippery, then it's got bite, and then it's gone. I think the first night you missed qualifying by a spot. Yeah. And when I came back in from my heat race, I think I got in the last qualified spot. You were second. You were in the redraw, and then you went down through the corner, and the track changed that much from one lap to another, and the top had gone away. So we kind of missed the first night, and then in the feature,
you have carburetor trouble or something the first night. I remember I ended up working. I don't think I got any practice that night. I ended up working on your car for something.
I think it wouldn't run or something.
Something wouldn't run or something like that. So I don't recall if I even got any practice. I think we just I jumped in, went out.
Yeah, I think I only got one. I think I missed the first round of practice too.
Because we were supposed to test and we got rained out.
Yeah, so it kind of made it stressful that day. And we got behind the 8 ball. We got there. Everything ran here. And we got there and it was so cold. I think the battery or something had gone bad in mine. So we fought with that and finally got it to run. And I believe I missed the first round of practice. Only got the second round, and you didn't get any.
Right.
So it was almost like having no practice. I mean, I think we got 4 laps. So it was like, oh, cool, it ran. And then you go into 4 nights. So we struggled the first night, which kind of knew after practice it was going to be an uphill battle. Then the second night we went out and both ran in the top 10. So that was really cool. Had a couple of good runs. The track had changed, so it rubbered up and stuff. But it was kind of more of our racetrack, and it felt good, and we drew really bad that night. I believe we went to redraw.
Yeah, but the nights that we drew well, we didn't seem to qualify well, and I think that night we both drew. We ended up starting deep in the heat races. I drove up and got in
we draw good, we qualify bad, we draw bad, we qualify good. I don't know what that's about.
It's dirt racing. Dirt racing certainly humbles you, because one night you can be, at the top of your game, and then the next night you can feel like you completely lost control. And you see that a lot, but it really kind of shows you how good the competition is, and just how focused you have to be on your stuff. And you see that with the crate cars especially. difficult because huge fields. I mean, we'll go to races and you know, the open small block, big block cars will have 40. We got 70, 80, almost double the amount of cars. So you're that much more limited when you're tackling that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but All Tech was like 44 cars I think they started with or something.
I mean, every race we went to this year, with the exception of Legion and the one race I ran at Bear Ridge, they mostly sent guys home. Devil's Bowl, the first 4 or 5 weeks, they sent guys home every week.
Yeah. Race your way in.
So, I mean, we raced with full fields. It's not like, I mean, the only thing I can really compare it to is like when I raced the Pavement Modified. They're struggling to get cars and stuff like that. It seems like on the asphalt, that's a whole nother topic. But just, you know, we race with cars. There's 20, 25, 30 a week, you know.
No lack of competition, that's for sure.
Yeah, so when you run 16th, it's not because you ran in a 16-car field. It's because you were racing against 30 cars. So sometimes I think for us, you'll be upset about finishing outside the top 10. You know, a lot of times at Devil's Bowl, I came in irritated just because I didn't run well, and I look at it and go, well, there was 30 cars tonight, and I finished 12th. You know, a lot of places you go there, and there's only 12 cars. So that just kind of talks about the competition that we're dealing with and how good the crate competition is around here, you know, in New York and with the Short Track Super Series, Devil's Bowl, all those, it's stout. But so anyways, yeah, we went to Florida and had a good time there, and then we made the mistake of driving home, and then drove back to Cherokee, South Carolina.
So we were home for what, 7 days, 8 days?
Yeah, 7 or 8 days, and drove back to South Carolina. I wouldn't recommend that. Just stay in Florida. We didn't make any money. We came back to work and didn't make a dime.
Yeah, we should have just stayed down south.
Yeah, Cherokee was fun, but it was fun and it wasn't fun. We didn't get the results we really wanted. Cars are both pretty quick off the truck. I had trouble qualifying. I think you did too.
It's tough. It's just tough to pass. I mean, Cherokee was one of my favorite tracks. I didn't get a great result, but it was a blast to race there. Remind me a little bit of Lebanon Valley, but obviously shorter, and just, I mean, you just climb the throttle all night long. I mean, your elbows up all night long. And I can remember in practice, or the day we tested down there, just like grinning ear to ear after the first round, because it was like, wow, this place is just hammer down. I mean, and a lot of fun. Unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get results.
Yeah.
But, you know, I ended up in a little, well, we both ended up in a tangle.
Yeah, we ended up in like a 10-car wreck. I think I made 3 laps. I drove all the way to South Carolina. I made 3 laps. And we broke a left rear shock. So that was it for the night for me. And then Dad went from the tail all the way, I think, to about 12th and burned the right rear off it.
Yeah, I could feel it. After the tangle, I went to the back, and I'm like, well, threw caution to the wind. So we got to pass cars. So I was just passing cars, and all of a sudden, it was a ton of fun. Any race driver can relate. At the end of the day, you want to pass race cars. That's fun. And so we were passing cars, and yeah, I got mid-pack or something. We refired again, and then I think it was another late caution, and I went, uh-oh, all of a sudden I was being challenged by some of the cars that I had passed, and the car started to get really free, but I had been up on the outside just abusing the thing, and which hey, what are you gonna do? You know, it's like, I'm not gonna win if I sit back there. So yeah, I used the tires up, and then I ended up backing up, but it was a fun racetrack to go to. Yeah, if we had it to do again, probably would change the schedule around a little bit.
Not to mention, for that one, Kayla and I had to drive all the way down. We made it down like in the middle of a snowstorm, so that was fun.
Yeah, what the girls went through when we went south that you guys didn't see, of flying, driving, flights being canceled and having to drive all the way down, and then you drove. Kayla flew home.
Yep, and I drove
South Carolina.
I drove Heather home. We made it home probably faster than we should have. From South Carolina, from Gaffney, South Carolina to home, I think we did it in like 14 hours, and I think it's supposed to take 16 plus. Yeah. But sometimes you get going on the interstate, you gotta go. You know. Yeah. So. But yeah, that's definitely something that we'll always cherish. You know, just because flights got canceled, stuff went wrong, and sometimes that's the stuff that you remember the most. You know.
Yeah, that it's the adventure of getting to where you're going, and I think traveling and racing for us is a bonus because no matter what, we know we're going to get to race once we get there, so that's a bonus. But sometimes the in between, the travel, the people that you meet, it's a lot of fun. I think any racer would agree with that, as far as especially when you're going to new places and seeing new faces and things like that. So
yeah,
so then we were off to.
Yeah, we did that, and that was 4 races.
Yeah, we did that, and then we were off for just a little bit because that was basically
February.
end of February.
Yeah.
So we were headed to.
We took March off because there was
Right.
We spent our money down there instead of going to Sealands Grove and that stuff.
So yeah, we had like a month off until
yes,
Albany.
But we were pretty much ready to go, you know. So then we went to Albany for the opener, and I had a really good run.
Yeah.
Probably Albany is one of my favorite racetracks. Just it sucks that they run Friday nights. They always have, and it's 3 hours for us. So we'd have to get out at like 11 o'clock. And during the summer, it's not bad for the girls, but if you want to keep a job, you can't leave every Friday at noon, you know. So it makes it tough for us. You know, we try and hit the races that we can there, and I really enjoy racing there.
Surface is always good.
Yeah, Lyle DeVore does a great job with the surface. You can always count on the track being good.
Competition is always great.
Yeah, there's always a ton of cars.
Tons of fans.
You know, so we really enjoy going there. I wish it was Saturday nights because we'd probably go there every week, but we get it. You know, you can't have everything. So yeah, we had a good run out there. That was a lot of fun. I finished second, qualified well. I won the heat race, started second, finished second. And I think the track kind of got one lane-ish because we ran after the big blocks that night. But it was still, you could run 3 grooves, you know, and you could pass cars if you needed to. But we were just that little bit off. But I was really happy because that was the best I had ever run there. And I think you had a decent run going and got turned around.
Yeah.
So we kind of had the 50-50. We had a really good run and a so-so run. And we kind of dealt with that all season, where we'd get one car going good, and then we'd have one that we'd struggle with, or something would happen. And sometimes it's not that you just struggled. It's something you got turned around, you got caught in traffic. Because crate racing, you all have the same power plant. You know, everybody's so even that it's hard to pass. So, you know, that makes it tough anywhere you go, really. I mean, Fonda's exceptionally hard to pass because you're wide open. Cherokee is hard. You know, it's almost, at the Valley, I feel like it's almost easier to pass because you can outguts guys to
when you get into those, just who will hold the throttle down. If there's grip, and you know, the guys that just who's going to hold the throttle down the longest, and the car's got to stick. But yeah, Albany was definitely a great. It showed having the races under our belt and then hitting the setup up there, and like you said, it's a 50. We always, I mean, everybody, if you have 2 cars, 3 cars, you want to be all in the top 3. But unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. But I was certainly happy to see good results that night.
Yeah, and there was like, I think 60 cars that night. So
Yeah.
just to get in the show sometimes is a win. You know?
Yeah, sometimes you kind of go. In the race, getting into the race, the feature was just a bonus. The real race was getting into the race.
Yeah. So but after that, we settled in at Devil's Bowl and raced there.
Yeah.
23 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think it was 23 in a row. 0 rainouts, which is got to be a promoter's dream. I mean, they don't lose anything, and good for them. But I think it was a grind. It was a grind, and for the teams that do 100 races a year or something, that's all they do. That's awesome. But for the working man type team like we are, and maintaining 2 race cars and running as many races as we did this year, it was a grind. I mean, I'll admit that at the end, and there was some other guys saying the same thing. Not that, when we all love racing, but I really think people were pretty wore out with.
Sometimes you need to change the scenery on a Saturday
Yeah.
night, and that's not going to another racetrack. Sometimes we do that, but sometimes that's going to the lake and just hanging out. You know, doing it for 23 weeks in a row is definitely a grind. And by the time we were done at Devil's Bowl, we had a lot of fun there, but we were ready for it to be over.
So I think the up there is, you know, the big build up to the 200 weekend, and then, you know, after that it just seemed like everybody kind of went, oh man. So, but you know, what do? You have years where you get rained out. It's tough for promoters, I think, to plan because you don't know what the weather's going to do. So one year you get them all, the next year you lose a bunch.
Yeah.
That's how they also make their living. So, it is what it is. We ground through it, and
Yeah, they almost need to do it like snow days, like Heather gets.
Yeah,
snow-
have
Schedule
one
in,
tomorrow.
3 weeks off
We're
during the
gonna do
season,
this,
but if
we'll
it
do that.
rains, you fill that in.
You're seeing some tracks do that when but yeah. So Devil's Bowl was, wow. We started out over there. We tested, which was nice. Might give us everybody a day of testing. And in dirt racing, you don't get a lot of testing, so we went up, took advantage of that, and we started out. I mean, you started pretty good, but
Yeah,
when we got back home here, the car that I had we struggled. I mean, I would say basically half the season up there, week in and week out, we struggled. We had some glimpses. I mean, back here in the shop, we work. I mean, especially on the Spring Smasher, he would work tirelessly trying to find a combination that would work with that car, that would work with me. And quite honestly, it gotten to the point where I was like, maybe I just can't do this anymore, or something's going on. You really, race car drivers, it's all about confidence, and the car just wouldn't have the feel that I wanted it to have. And yes, you have to adapt, but it just wouldn't respond. And if it did, it didn't do it the way we thought it should over and over. It should repeat. So it was kind of a battle. I think I had a couple top tens or something early, but nothing what you want. We always want to be at the front. And again, Devil's Bowl is, I'll go out on a limb and say it, that the competition there is like no other place as far as week in and week out. I mean, those teams there are all A game all the time. The purse there is really, really good, and so it draws really good race teams. So going over there and competing at all is something, as far as that goes, without a doubt.
Yeah,
But,
no, we definitely we beat our head against the wall, and you guys probably saw it sometimes in the videos, because I know it's hard to, at least for me, I wear my emotions on my sleeve most of the time, so you can tell when I'm pissed and when I'm not.
Yeah.
Dad's a little bit better about holding his composure, but there was nights where I ran really well and that one was awful, and I still was not happy. Just because we work so hard in the shop behind the scenes. We're out here 40 plus hours a week after work trying to get these cars ready to go, and it seemed like anything we did, it was either made it worse or it would go good for 6 laps and then it was a piece of crap. It was bizarre because we ordered the brand new car, and we literally just said, you know what, screw it, we're going to try a bunch of stuff with the old one. And he went out and finished 4th or 3rd. And we're all standing there. I'm like, so what did we have to do? Buy a brand new frame and let it sit in the shop?
Yeah,
or what?
Just
So-
that night it seemed to line up. Yeah, I think I ran 4th with it, and but it was one of those, you got a good finish out of it, but man, I had to drive my butt off.
Yeah, he still wasn't comfortable in the
It
car.
It wasn't it wasn't solid like you really want, and you have to drive your butt off anyway. But it just I don't know, it wasn't working. So yeah, we made that big swap.
And in between that, we had to. I remember we were going to change his car out, and I ended up wrecking and bending the front clip. And I remember that's why you end up running that one an extra week, because I had to have mine clipped. So everything got all screwed up for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it ended up working out. We got the new one that's sitting over here to your right, together, and we got mine clipped. DKM did a fabulous job putting a clip on it. But yeah, those are some of the behind the scenes things that you might not see, especially this year at Devil's Bowl, where we were just, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, do I need to hire somebody to work on my race cars? Because anything I do just keeps making it worse.
I think sometimes we get, as racers, you get off on these little wild goose chases, where you're convinced that you're making it better, or you got a different theory, and it's just, you can say it, I'm not going to get sidetracked, but you still do, and you kind of head down this little path, and you get, and like for me, I know you start to doubt yourself. So we started, actually, the cars further and further, setup wise, we're getting different, and we're 2 different drivers. We definitely drive different, and so we were headed down that path, and he was working hard to try and help to get me comfortable, and so yeah, it's tough, and then trying to keep focus on If you get a night you don't get good finish with either one, now you're like, oh, did we screw them both up? Luckily, that wasn't the case. I mean, because you grabbed a win.
Yeah, I grabbed 2 wins
in early, and then kind of later on.
We were. I don't know. At Devil's Bowl, it was hard because like when we went to Lebanon Valley, and not to knock the guys at Lebanon Valley, but the competition is so much stiffer at Devil's Bowl. It's almost like a Sportsman Plus division. You got Todd Stone and those guys rolling in with a stacker with full-time help. You got other guys with full-time crew chiefs. And then you got, anywhere from here to here, And so it makes the competition level really high, which is great. That's what you want to race with. You want to race with the best all the time. And to do that, you got to be on your A game. And sometimes for us, just being that little bit off looks like a mile, So, I went out the first night and finished, I think, 3rd. And then a little bit later in the year, picked up a win, which was a battle. Had to race the best to get there, And then I had a lot of confidence and the car was good, but some nights it was just tough work in traffic. You start, with the handicap system up there, after you win, you start, I think, 18th. There was one night after I won, I missed the handicap, because it's so good up there. You miss the handicap, have to go through the consi to get in, to get qualified. And with a crate car, it's damn near impossible to go from 25th to the pin, You almost have to settle in and go, all right, I got 30 laps, and I'm not passing a car a lap, so just get what you can get. But overall at Devil's Bowl, I felt like I had a halfway decent season. I know we got 2 wins, but I still was never happy with the way the car was. I never felt like I could drive from 16th to the front. I always started towards the front, which is still, hey, you won. But I guess as a race car driver, you're never happy. If you're happy and satisfied, you're not going fast enough.
Probably not going.
So.
And that second win, you got right after you clipped the car, right after the guys at DKM clipped it.
You got the first win earlier, and then
it was about a month later.
Yeah, and then we had the car, and again, like I said earlier, how you go from racing so humbling. You go from you knock the front clip off it, and you're thinking, oh, geez, and so you work all that week. You got to strip it down. We took it to DKM.
Yeah.
Those guys got it in, got it out. Put the clip on it, come back, put it all together, set it back up, and you're always like, all right, is this thing even going to respawn?
Yeah, after what we've been dealing with the other one, I'm like, great.
And
I just had to cut all these pipes out and put a new clip on it.
And you go out and win the next week, so you go from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs again. And
yeah.
But the wins, I felt like, even though, because it's a team, even when one car wins or one car runs good, as a team, you always feel good because you're onto something. You want the cars always up front, both of them, but it starts to show through that, all right, yeah, we're on the right track, and so we're getting there, and you see that with teams. You can build momentum through each other, and it certainly, I felt like the wins came at just the right time, where it was kind of like a little bit of breath of fresh air for a week or so, where you could go, okay, yeah, we're on the right track, we can get this done, and we can do it out of this shop with you and I.
Two guys and 3 girls.
2 guys and 3 girls. So we can compete with these guys, and we can win. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, Devil's Bowl is just so tough. The way the track's prepared, Mike does a great job, but just the surface up there has its own mind sometimes. Where the sun hits it, it'll have a ton of bite, and then there'll be a day that's cloudy, and it's a balancing act. So trying to keep a balanced race car all the time and being happy can be tough, and it's got to be tough as a track promoter too to prepare the surface up there. Just I feel like the clay hates itself.
I think anywhere clay looks like it's an art form that you just learn over and over. Watch it. As racers, we certainly complain. We don't like this. We don't like that, and that's just our nature. But on the flip side, the guy that's running the grader or the harrow or the water truck, there's a science, to it.
Yeah.
And
you don't just learn that on YouTube.
Those guys work every bit as hard as we do on the cars, they do on the racetrack. So, it's easy to complain, but at the end of the day, when you're at the racetracks early or days after the races and you see how hard they work, or, like when we were at Alltech, it's like we'd get done racing and all of a sudden, if you're at a 2, 3, 4 day event and they just go right back to work, it doesn't matter what time it is. It's always time to work on the racetrack and prepare. So, again, a shout out to all those guys that are running graders and water trucks and everything like that, so that we can go out and perform. You know, it's probably a really thankless job. But
Oh yeah, because you're never right.
Yeah.
When one guy's happy, the track's got bite. There's a guy that's not happy.
Yeah, it's a
if it's
50-50.
slippery, the guy's not happy. You know, you're never going to make anybody happy. So, anybody that's prepping a track, man, God love you.
Promoters, all of them. You know what I mean? It's like it's a tough job. Our job is a tough job as a racer. Their job as a promoter is a tough job. The track prep guys, the crew guys, everybody around racing. Racing is one thing with racing. There's really nobody in racing that's successful and lazy.
No,
racing, the racing circles are people who work hard.
Yeah.
Hard. And it can be a race crew guy, it can be the promoter, it can be the photographer. There are just a lot of people that bust their butts.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hats off to everybody who does that makes all of it happen for all of us. You know, it certainly, they don't get thanked enough. And again, we're racing, so we don't have time to stop and think about all that. But they certainly do. But yeah, Devil's Bowl for me was a struggle. I was disappointed with Devil's Bowl, my performance there. We will do better. But it is what it is. You just keep digging. Finally, once we switched cars, I think we ran 4 or 5 races.
I think 4.
Immediately once we jumped into this new Bicknell, I came out and I run a top 10 right out of the box with it, which was good. And then, you know, you still got to learn what it wants. And then finally the last night, I ran second. I had a shot to win. I had a really good race with Anthony Warren.
Yep.
And it was one of those, whoever got out front was going to win the race because the track had a little bit of character and neither one of us had won. And so everybody really wanted to go after it, but we raced hard, we raced clean, and those are good, really good guys to race with. So it was a lot of fun. And I think him and I were both excited. I give him a big hug and tech and everything because they had some struggles all year long too. And so for us to finally nail it down and get a solid run that night was good for him, good for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a win, but it kind of was. It kind of said, okay, we are headed in the right direction. And, and so that was a good way to finish it off.
Yeah. Definitely we showed glimpses of being really good, you think about it, between 2 cars, it's a lot, but I mean, we put them in the top 5, the top 10, not as much as we wanted to, but we did it, and you get better. I mean, we hadn't raced there in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
2 or 3 years.
Bowl.
We had kept going by the place. We were going to, Lebanon Valley out in New York. Fonda. During COVID, we didn't go there at all. So it was, you almost have to relearn the racetrack, but, I feel like we have something pretty good to build on for this coming year. Still, we don't know what our plans are, but we still have some pretty good stuff to build on. And, it's hard to factor out a place that pays so well. And, they do a nice job promoting it. Definitely one of the nicest facilities there is in New England to race at. The grass is always perfect. The lighting and stuff is decent. You can't ask for any more than that.
Track's paved. The
pits are all paved. Yeah, that's pretty rare at a dirt track, but it's great because you can,
Yeah, it does. That is.
The tires don't come in all nasty on the trailer.
You get a little spoiled with the paved pit area.
But no, definitely got to thank Mike Bruno and those guys for what they did there all year, and anybody else that we've raced with. The short track Super Series stuff, all of it. They've all done a great job. And
Brett Deo in this Super Series stuff, he just seems to really have a feel for what the racers want and what racing needs, and he can deliver. And yeah, that guy, he's done a ton for racing, continues to expand, and you see the same faces all the time when we go to races, and I was saying something the other day about that. I mean, running a business too, it's the same thing. When you're running a business, surrounding yourself with good people, when you run a race team, a race promoter, everything, and you see the same faces with Deo all the time.
Yeah.
And they have been for quite a while, so he's got to run a pretty good deal, or you just couldn't manage everything that he's doing. So, for a younger promoter, we liked racing with him. I mean, we like racing with everybody, but we really enjoy racing with them. Wish they were a little bit closer so that we could tackle more of their stuff, but it's a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, no, we always have a lot of fun, and the competition there is super stout.
Yeah.
You know, because those guys are running there every week, and we're not. So that makes it tough, you know. But yeah, we after Devil's Bowl, we got to think about that.
Didn't we went to Bear Ridge.
We went to Bear Ridge.
I took the night off and crew chief for you.
That was probably a good move.
Yeah.
Bear Ridge was all right. We ran the 100 lapper. I think there was 27 cars. I think I started 7th and finished 5th.
It was a good night.
It was a good night.
Good to see some old friends.
Definitely didn't feel welcome there. Hadn't been there in years. Did see some people that, you know, we hadn't seen in a while and were excited to see us. And the track promoter and stuff came up, said hi, shook our hands. You know, they treated us well, but just, I don't know. It was a weird night. So a lot of action that was unnecessary. But you'll have that at the end of the year, I guess. And the track was pretty slicked off, one groove, you know, kind of nose to tail, couldn't go anywhere. So that made it tough. But sometimes you have that. Again, it's one of those nights that I didn't like the surface, but we dealt with it. And we're able to get a top 5. Then went to Devil's Bowl the next night, and Dad finished 2nd. So overall, that was actually a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, it was actually. I forgot those were kind of together.
Yeah, I think we forgot about it too, you know.
Sometimes it all runs together. You just go and go and go.
Yeah, so after that, the season was pretty well over for us, other than we had planned to go to Port Royal.
Yep.
And then one of our sponsors, K. Nicky Janitorial, Andy, he's a great guy, diehard race fan, him and his dad, Julian, asked us if we'd be interested in going to race down at Legion Speedway, which is literally just a hop, skip, and a jump. I think it's 20 minutes down over the hill on 118 for us to go down there and race. So, and they're working on it. The new promoter's doing the best he can. They got left and it damn near closed. So they're working hard. It's the only dirt track in New Hampshire. I'm not even going to count Loudon's quarter-mile track because they won't race modifieds there. So it's the only true dirt track left in New Hampshire. So we decided to go down and run that race, and they paid it was some bonus thing to run. So they paid extra. So we went down there and actually had a lot of fun. You know, it was pretty fun. It was laid back. I think there was 16 or 17 cars, and they put on a good show. You know, and it was fun. Just I don't know. It was relaxed, kind of nobody worried about anything. It was, I think we all enjoyed it, and especially I enjoyed the ride home. You went up over the hill, and we were home in 20 minutes.
Yes, short.
You know,
short.
It almost
ride.
felt odd, you know.
Yeah,
we were driving
home
that quick. So
yeah, it was a good time going there and helping, trying to help the track out. You don't want to see another racetrack close. You hear about them closing, and you never get them back. The land's too valuable, and there are so many rules and restrictions. So, you know, we had said, you know, if they did something that was meaningful, worthwhile, that we would support it, and we did, and the racers came out and supported it and put on a good show. I mean, guys went out, raced. It was probably one of the cleanest, quickest shows they probably had all year.
Yeah, I think they did it, and they had 3 divisions, and we were done in 2.5 hours.
I mean, the B Coops came down from Bradford, again, supported it really well, went out and raced really good, and the track is fun to go around, so, you know, there's potential there. What they do with it as a promoter, you know, is kind of it's kind of like a volley back and forth. I feel like, you know, we put the ball back in their court, and it's up to them to, you know, figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
But they're trying. They added some lighting, and I hadn't been there in years.
Yeah, I think the last time I had raced there was in a buddy's late model, and it was just back then they kicked the door open and you raced, and then you went home.
Kind of just a good old boy thing.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to you need some of those places, but you know, unfortunately, these racetracks now they're working businesses.
Yeah.
And the race teams, unfortunately, are kind of the same thing. Where I always kid that a race team is a business you run that never makes money, so you're always trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So it's kind of weird. You have to have that kind of a business motto for your team, but understand that it's a hobby, and it's always been a push-pull kind of thing. Running the economic stuff with your racing.
Yeah, no, I definitely hope they do something this coming season. You know, to better the place, and maybe they put something out where it's literally 20 minutes from home. It's almost dumb for us to drive by. You know,
Yeah,
but they have to do something.
To make
Any
you wanna
racetrack
spend
has
your
to,
dollars.
It's
Yeah.
like going to a restaurant. You don't like their food. Why are you going there? You know. So they got to do something to help it out. And the guy's working hard. You can't knock him for any of it. We only went there once. We got treated wonderfully.
Yeah,
I felt like he treated everybody really well. You know, but he's working with not a lot right now, trying to make something of it. He has no help. I gave him credit because he was the race director. He was the announcer. He was the photo taker. He was the shaking hands and kissing babies at the gate guy.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to do around here and want to help a racetrack out,
Legion Speedway is a place to be.
let me know. I'll get you his email, and
Yeah.
he'd be more than happy to have you help.
Absolutely.
You
Sell
know,
popcorn, whatever.
So, but yeah, so we had a lot of fun there, and then we kind of ramped things up and headed another 8.5 hours to Port Royal, and that was kind of we had circled that one, I think, back when we got home from Florida and said, you know what,
Yeah.
I want to go there. The track is badass, you know, it's got a huge name, and we're like, we want to go back and race on the red clay down there, and had a lot of fun. There was, what was it, 80? Was it 80?
77.
Yeah, 77 Sportsman cars showed up for 30 spots.
Yeah.
So it was a feat, you know. It's especially going to a place they've run there I think 3 years now. We'd never been there, so we were behind the 8 ball. I felt like rolling through the gate.
Again, for some reason, every place we went this year, other than in South Carolina, they would schedule a test day and it would get rained out. And the same thing when we got to Port Royal, it was a driving rain. I mean, like,
Yeah, I think they got
torrential
2
rain.
inches of rain.
And so there was no chance whatsoever. So I think we fired off Friday morning at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, which was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I would drive a race car at 10 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, I mean, what else would you want to do on a Thursday or a Friday but jump in your race car? And I can remember sitting there strapped in thinking, this probably wouldn't work up here in New Hampshire. People just wouldn't. Somebody's going to complain. And for those of you who've been to Port Royal or haven't been to Port Royal, I mean, it sits right in the middle of town. Like, right in the middle of town. And I'm like, and there was nobody complaining at all. You know, so it's pretty cool, the different places. But what a gorgeous, that is state of the art. That's like, I compare it to like, that would be our Eldora or Knoxville kind of feel,
Yeah,
where
for
it's
us, yeah.
just a crown jewel racetrack. If you get a chance to visit there, it's like a dirt track Loudon kind of thing with the grandstands and even more so the history and stuff of the racetrack and the maintenance
Yeah.
on it is just impeccable. The grounds, the lighting. I mean, when the lights go on there, you don't know. Even
Yeah, it feels like it's daytime
The
still.
pit lighting there is
Great.
better than some tracks I've seen. Their track lighting. I mean, when the lights are on, you forget whether it's day or night. That's
Yeah.
how bright it is. And running 410 sprinters and stuff down there, you got to be on it,
Yeah.
with their light. But again, just a great place, and they put on huge races. When you look at their schedule, they got big time stuff there all the time. So they really go after it.
Yeah.
So it was.
That's
cool.
probably, in my opinion, that's the nicest dirt track I've ever been to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, it's got a tunnel underneath. You can go in the infield.
Yeah.
I know Heather was all fired up. They sell wine slushies.
I did not have one this
She
year.
didn't have a slushie,
'cause
but a couple years ago
they were
we went.
racing.
But so it's really cool. Down there we struggled. Just you've never been to a place. We were good in hot laps in practice, but you could hold it wide open. And for some reason that suits us really well when you can just trump the gas and hold it.
Yeah. I think the biggest curveball for us there was we'd run after sprint cars, but we never run like the 410 sprint cars. So we qualified after the 410 sprinters. And I think actually the big blocks ran too. We were last. I think we were last.
Yeah, we were last after.
So, and just appreciating the track prep there was awesome. But with all of the cars there, how fast the track transition was absolutely crazy. And you just don't know that. And now you do because you have it in the notebook.
Yeah.
But man, it went from absolute hammer down to slicked off, and you're really having to work different grooves and different lanes and I drew pretty good. I started in a qualified spot, and then I think 2 laps in, I knew I was in trouble because I'm like, this thing is swinging free. And so you were in the 4th?
I was in the last heat. So
heat.
We threw an absolute Hail Mary.
Yeah, I came in and jumped out of the car and went over to him and went, listen, It is so dead slick out there. It ain't funny. And we threw tons of stuff at his car. We were changing everything. So I was kind of like the guinea pig, and that's just the way it worked out. And managed to get his tightened up enough.
It still wasn't tight enough, but enough to get in.
But if had we left it, you were in way worse trouble because it was getting worse and worse. But it does make the racetrack fun because you can chase the groove up to the top. You can run, you can bounce it off the cushion, or you can go way to the bottom, or you can run through the middle. And even though I didn't make the race down there, I had a ton of fun racing the racetrack because you could go up and you could be up on the rail, you could be down on the bottom, you could be in the middle.
Yeah.
It's a big, wide, sweeping racetrack, and
it's definitely tough for a crate car to run the rim just because you got a half mile on the bottom, and I swear to God, it's a damn 3/4 mile around the rim.
Yeah. I kind of in the
We
last
still
part.
did it.
Yeah, the last part. I went up there. I'm like, I'm not going to make the race. I could see that with like 3 or 4 laps to go. So I'm like, I'm going to have fun anyway. So I went up and ran the rim.
Yeah.
And it is fun. You know what I mean? You can see why the sprinters and the big blocks and guys, they'll go up and there were guys in the feature that were up there beating on the K rail and whacking, and passing a few guys because it got that slick. But fun racetrack to go around. Definitely gets your attention because it's fast.
Yeah. So I can only imagine in a 410 Sprinter, it's going to be a rush.
It's awesome. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we finished off.
Yeah, I think down there I got in the show and screwed myself. This is probably one of the only times that we have tire choice, and I picked the wrong tire. Not even close to the right tire. And it was one of those that came in from hot laps and was like, let's put a hard tire on. And just kind of going off what guys had said in years past where it used tires up. It was a 50-lap race, which was a long, great race.
Right.
And I came in and it looked like that tire right there. It looked brand new. So I really screwed myself on that. But still managed to finish, I think, 15th or 16th. And it was kind of missed all the wrecks, stayed on the lead lap, actually went a lap down, got the lucky dog kind of thing. But you have nights like that, and definitely put that in the notebook because we will probably go back there.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a crown jewel.
Well, and you missed. I mean, don't skip the fact that one of the worst wrecks we saw all season.
Oh yeah, I missed it would have been.
It was a split second when we watched the replay on the cameras. They were talking about it on Flow, where it was just a wild wreck, and basically it was a split second where the car stopped, and he was the next car in line, and the guy after him went for a wild ride. I mean, it absolutely. They brought that car in with
pieces.
a wrecker and a truck, and the truck back bed was full of pieces, and they just dangling. So it could have been us.
Luckily, the kid was all right.
Yeah, everybody was okay, but it could have been a nasty tore up race car.
Yeah,
so,
that would have been a call to Bicknell. Hey, I need another frame.
Yeah, there's no fixing that.
Because
one.
You're doing well over 100 down the straightaway. I don't know how fast we're going, but it's got to be close to 100 with a crate car.
I think we got it at like 96 or something
96,
like that.
so pretty well 100.
Yeah, if you hit somebody with 96
you hit somebody at 96 when they're stopped.
Yeah.
I'll hit a wall at 96 miles an hour. Let me know how it feels.
Tear you up.
So, but yeah, we evaded disaster there because that would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
And it sucked still for the kid. I don't know who it was, but destroyed his car. Luckily, he was okay because you don't ever want to see anybody.
A lot of nice fans. It's funny when you go different places. We had a lot of really enthusiastic fans that watch our Hustle and the Highside stuff. Sold some T-shirts, signed some pictures. Big time race fans down there. It's like wow, and man, it makes you the nights that you're struggling. Those nights when the fans come up to you and say, "Hey, you did a good job," or just want to talk to you. It makes you want to go to the next round.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
It definitely helps to push. And so it was cool to end the season off with people that were just really enthusiastic about racing, all the time.
Yeah.
And, so that was
that was
cool.
kind of the wrap on the season. We had a lot of fun. We beat our head against the wall. That's a typical race season. You're gonna love it. You're gonna hate. There was some nights that I absolutely hated racing, like Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
But I still went out and unloaded the car and washed it.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship.
The long ride lets you kind of.
Yeah, let you think about it.
It's a good thing about the long rides is it kind of lets you think about it. And I've found where I've been times loading the car, I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then an hour and a half into the ride, I'm already thinking about, well, if I change this or I did that, and that's what keeps you wanting to climb through the window. You know what I mean? After all the years that I've been doing it, and even for him, it's like, I guess when you find yourself not thinking about that, then it's probably time to get out, you know, or you just got that feeling. But yeah, so it was, you know, overall getting some wins, top tens, top
fives, top threes.
fives at different racetracks. We're happy, but not happy.
Happy but not satisfied.
Some guys would be happy with that. We feel like there's a whole lot more work to be done. And so that's what we're doing now. We tore stuff apart and got things ordered, and we just went to
the Performance Racing Industry Show, PRI in Indy.
Well, you'll see another video with that. We were out at PRI and we learned some things, met some great people, had a really good time. We were out there with Neil Stratton, which was a lot of fun. Thanks to Neil for being our tour guide the whole time. That was a good time.
Yep.
And so that was good.
Yeah, that's about it. You know, typical race season. Now the hard work starts. We got to take everything apart, go through it, put it back together. You've seen some of that, but none of this would be possible without all the sponsors we had. You know, CJ Auto Body, Andy and Julian from K. Nicky Janitorial, Chris at Akabe. Hunter Ordway has been huge, and I think he's going to be bigger this year. He's a hardcore race fan, did some racing himself, and he's done nothing but really help us out, you know, with everything. So you can't thank people like that enough.
I think everybody's back on board, as far as I know. I mean, not 100%, but I haven't heard that they're not.
We'll have to see if that damn design company will help out again.
I think everybody we had's back on board.
Yeah.
I think everybody was happy.
Yeah.
And so we're always looking for more.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking, anything helps.
Yeah.
You know, we're not people to, and I guess maybe we should be better at it. We don't go out and really search for sponsors, just because it's not easy to do, and we only have so many people. You know, so if you're interested, please let us know. You know, we'd be more than happy to do anything, even if it doesn't matter what it is, products, whatever, anything. You know, we'll make it work, and you know, we try to give you what you want, and really appreciate any help that we can get.
And we did have some behind the scenes people that like to stay behind the scenes, help out this year, and they know who they are. So thanks to them. You know, little contributions here and there definitely are appreciated, and you know, don't go.
Yeah, they don't go unthanked.
Yeah.
You know?
So you know, that's cool too. So
yeah. So, but yeah, for now, I guess our season plans are up in the air still. We have an idea what we're going to do, but financially, we got to see. Fuel cost has been a killer, and then just the rising cost of tires, fuel, stuff like that has been nuts.
So yeah, you probably. I don't think we have announced it, but we decided not to compete down at Alltech this year. Just the cost of the travel and everything is just too great for a team our size, and the money is better spent elsewhere. So we will be in Florida. We will be at Speed Week.
We're gonna vacation.
So we're just going to be a
For
race
real.
fan. So you'll probably see us there. Jen and I will be there for a good part of February, and Walt and Kayla are flying down, and we'll go. So we'll be at East Bay, and we'll be over at Volusia, and I don't know, anywhere else there's a race, you know, we might appear. So we'll definitely be down there in the mix. But we just felt like with everything we got going on here, that for this season, financially and time-wise, it was better to not go and then fire off early in the spring. So we haven't somewhere in March. We'll be racing somewhere in March, which most likely will be with the Short Track Super Series event. That schedule just came out, and so that's what it's kind of looking at. They got some new tracks that they're going to, so we'll see exactly, and we'll keep you guys all posted on that.
Yeah, we'll probably hit a couple of their South Series races.
And then we usually hit the Albany opener, and then go from there. We're seeing tracks as, you know, it's the end of the year, but a lot of tracks are already starting to put schedules out And so that's what we start doing. We start looking and seeing what we want to do and what makes makes the most sense for our team.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at it for Florida. You can drive 24 hours and race 4 races, and then on the way home go and race one more, so 5 races, and it would cost you X amount of dollars. We could probably take that same money and spend it and run 8 or 10 races.
Yeah.
You know, so you can almost run double closer to home. It gives us a little more time to prepare.
And the cost basically from last year is
It's about 1.5 times more.
it's expensive. Yeah, what we spent last year and what we figured out this year was just more than we were willing to spend right now to do it. Trust me, I think about it and I'm like, I'm sure when we get to Florida, I wish I had a race car with me. But that's just a racer. It'll make you want it that much more when we fire off this coming year. So maybe next year, again, I mean, we certainly enjoy racing down there. But So yeah, that's basically a scoop of what's going on. My favorite race of the year was Walt's first win. It just felt like we had. I mean, I was terrible that night, like so bad that I was back far enough that I stopped racing my car and just watched him because I was that bad. And the track it strung out so much. So that was kind of just because we had worked so hard trying to get a win, your first win there, and as much as it was yours, I felt like it was a team win. It was just a huge thing. So I can just remember being so excited. I'm like, I know I'm not going to win the race, but being able to I kind of was back and I could look across and see you racing Todd, and so that was really cool. Personally, my best race was the last one when we, obviously we had a shot to win, and we performed, good there. But I mean, I kind of like every race, I just like the race.
There was nights at Devil's Bowl. I felt like it really tested you there, and that's just that racetrack. But definitely the 2 wins for me were huge.
Yeah.
The first one, it was hard because there hadn't been a ton of repeat winners. I think they had, 14 or 15 winners throughout the season. Yeah. So I was like, well, was it a fluke? You always kind of, you asked yourself that. Did I just hang on and then a month later cleaning the front clip off it and going out and winning again? I'm like, no, it wasn't a fluke. We were just that good, and to be, I think there was only 5 or 6 guys that won more than one race. To be in that top 5 or 6 there made me feel pretty good. You want to win every race, and in all our minds, we should win every race.
And both of those wins, I mean, you had to race against Todd Stone, Tim LeDuc.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were giving to me. I remember Dad coming in and asking me what I was thinking, deciding to start on the top side with Todd underneath me.
Well, I remember thinking
I was like, well, that's what we got.
I remember when I see you choose the outside, I thought he's got to be really good, and he's got to feel really confident, because the car's got to be that good, or he wouldn't have taken the top. And it was the right choice, which is good.
Yeah.
Again, like when you're confident in your car for that night, you feel like Superman. You can do anything. And
the second night, definitely, quite honestly, after we had the front clip fixed, I think I went back to the racetrack just irritated out of anything, and I'm like, well, I'm starting here, and I'm going to win this damn race. And the car that night was exceptional, and probably the best it felt all year. And I think at that point, I had pulled my ways. Both races, I don't know what happened with like green, white, checker, we get a yellow. I think that one I had like a half a straightaway lead or something. We'd pulled away and checked out, and then comes back and they were both dogfights and both good races, So you definitely want to win them good races. I don't want to move anybody or any of that because it always kind of in my mind it puts an asterisk next to it. Hey, I moved that guy to win that race, So sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but at this level, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Cause,
at any level,
But so yeah, I think that's a pretty solid recap. We put Jenny to sleep.
Yeah, tired out.
So she's out. She made it to about 2 races this year, so that was enough for her.
Right.
So yeah.
The one race we really didn't talk a lot about was the Vermont 200.
Yeah.
That was by far the most car count, like the highest car count.
Yeah, it was there 88 cars?
89.
Yeah.
89 cars.
Cars coming from everywhere.
Yeah, and we both kind of thought about it because there was another race going on. I'm like, and the tire shortages. I'm like, there'll only be like 50 cars. It's 10,000 to win. And there ended up being 88. with some really solid guys. A lot of big block guys came and ran it. Kenny Tremont schooled us with torsion bars and a right side panhard bar, but I wouldn't expect any less from Kenny Tremont.
No, I was actually, I mean, you know, you can't win. Seeing Kenny win certainly was a good thing. I was fine with that.
Yeah,
I like his style. He's got class. He wins with class.
Yeah.
He
Anytime you
loses
can race
with
against
class,
a big block
so-
guy, it's if you beat him, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like if you get beat, you go, well, I should have.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, no, the Vermont 200 was interesting. Unfortunately, Dad showed speed, but just got behind qualifying, and you get behind with 88 cars. And
Awful luck.
You're behind all day. Yeah, had some
Yeah.
really bad luck. Got run over the bank.
Yeah, right
It was
from
one of
the
those
get-go.
days.
Yeah,
Just
it was
couldn't
one
do
of those
anything right.
one of those days, but it is what it is. You know, there's next year, there's next time. I just look at it, and we just worked harder with yours, and we did learn a lot throughout that day. That I
Yeah.
felt like from there out helped us a bunch because we
Yeah.
ran so many laps. And we tried so many things with the cars, in having the two cars. It certainly, I think, helped both of us. I think it helped you in the feature, because
Yeah.
then when we made adjustments, I mean, because you had gotten almost, to 5th or something at one point?
Yeah, I started 27th or 28th
So-
and got to 5th, and then with like 5 to go. Just it's such a long race, and we don't run races that long all the time. I didn't do a very good job keeping the tires not sealed
Just
over.
didn't fire that last restart.
Yeah, they didn't fire, and I think I finished 8th or 9th.
Yeah,
So,
lost
but
a
still,
couple.
out of 88 cars, you were in the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, so solid run. But yeah, no, that was a good one. You know, they all slip your mind after you've run 30 something races. So, but yeah, that's about it. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. We've had some good questions. I saw one. Somebody'd like to know more about our racing history. Like, how did we get started racing?
Yeah, we
that's
could do
that's something we
something
can
like that.
elaborate on. You know,
we can do a night of that.
we go back a ways. You know,
Yeah.
to a point.
Yeah, I
So-
go way back.
He goes way back. I go back to 12.
Yeah,
So-
we'll do a night of that. So if you have more questions about that or anything else, especially this time of the year, because we have time to kind of slow it down and answer that.
Yeah.
We'd love to answer your questions.
Yeah.
And no question is a dumb question. So
No,
just
any question is a good question.
whether it be about chassis or racing, or just about us, you
Yeah.
know what we're doing, or certainly we'll do a how we all got started thing, and
Yeah.
that'll be probably pretty interesting for people to see. So yeah, we can do something like that at a later date.
Yeah. We did have one at Port Royal I saw, and people were wondering the 97 car next to us.
Mhm.
And that's obviously Alan, which would be his brother. And then there was 3 Waltz that day because you had
My grandfather,
my grandfather, which is his dad,
Yeah.
obviously. So we had 3 Waltz and an Allen.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, racing goes deep. You know,
Yeah, it's a family thing. We've been in it for
long
it's like
time.
eating breakfast. You know, some people get up and eat breakfast in the morning, and that's just how it's always been in our family. And it's a big family, not only just your immediate family, but everybody in racing is basically a family member. You know, and especially dirt racing, it's a pretty tight knit group of people. So, you know, work hard, play hard, so we have a good time. But
Yeah.
happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully everything is good for you, and we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back here probably after Christmas.
Yeah.
We've been taking a little break here and there. Just we actually haven't been out in the shop because we've both been working so much. You know, design work, construction work. We got some irons in the fire with that stuff. So if you want to race, you got to make money, and we have to do that when snow's on the ground. So
Yeah.
so we've been busy with that, but we'll be getting busy here in the shop. Usually after the holidays, we start to bust it. So stay tuned. Enjoy your holidays. Hang out with your family. Enjoy it. Hope everybody's well, and we'll see you next time.
What people don't realize too is that we went through like 3 batteries doing this
Yeah.
and full memory cards.
And I had to move the whole damn rear end for this.
He did.
Jenny, what do you think?
So let's go. You ready?
Okay.
Let's finish this.
So thanks for watching. Make sure to like
Subscribe.
and comment if you have any questions. Yeah, happy holidays. I don't think we have many t-shirts left, but if you want one, let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll get something to you. And yeah, happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody.